Welcome to the second webinar in the health coaching series, Let's Talk About Connection. These are free webinars in which I'm hoping to give you a small glimpse into the world of health coaching and perhaps even inspire you to work with your clients in a different way. If you haven't already watched it, I suggest you watch part 1 of the series first, as today is simply a Q&A session based on some of your questions from part 1. After the last webinar, quite a few of you sent in questions, and they all seem to be very similar. So I've broken them into 2 main questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them for you. Your first question was, how do I transition from being a complementary therapist to a health coach? People asked, how do I retrain? How do I tell my clients that I'm now a health coach? Lots of questions like that. And the second question was, what if I don't want to retrain or get another certificate, but I want to add health coaching techniques to what I'm already doing? How do I do that? How do I incorporate these skills into my normal massage practice or my reflexology practice? So your first question was, how do I become a health coach? How do I transition from being a complementary therapist to being a health coach? There's a lot of really good online courses available in health coaching. And in my next blog, I'm going to put some links to the ones that I've looked at and that I think are very good. I did a course through the Primal Health Institute and I loved it. I thought it was a great course. And so I'll put a link to that as well. But what I want you to do before you rush into training as a health coach is to actually just ask yourself a couple of questions. Because, like when you play chess, you need to think ahead a bit. You really need to think strategically about what you're doing and why you're doing it. The first question I want you to ask yourself is, what's my passion? Do I want to change what I'm doing? Or do I want to change how I'm doing what I'm doing? If you're an aromatherapist and you're passionate about aromatherapy oils, if you read about different essential oils, if you're always blending them at home, using them for yourself, giving them to friends, if it's something you really love, something you've worked hard to achieve, you've spent a lot of money on your training, you've spent a lot of time learning, then I would suggest to you that you actually just keep pursuing your passion and learn health coaching techniques and add them to what you're already doing. Don't start going off on another pathway. So change how you're doing things, but don't change what you're doing. If you're already passionate about what you're doing, stick to it. Spend your time and spend your money on training further in what you're already doing. If you are not passionate about the therapy you do, maybe you're just very worn out and tired, you've been doing it for too long, maybe you trained in it because you weren't too sure what you wanted to do, and if you're really not enjoying it, then you could look at health coaching as a completely new therapy. If you want to do health coaching as a completely new therapy, then you do need to train in it. You do need to get certified in it. So there are, as I said earlier, very good online schools, which I will chat about in my blog. And one thing I do want you to just be aware of is that at the moment, so this is 2020, health coaching is not recognized in a lot of countries. It's not recognized as a therapy yet. And so the certifications you get are only given by the institutions or the schools themselves, and they're not recognized everywhere, and you may not be able to get insurance. So that's something you need to check first before you start spending time and spending money on training and health coaching. If you are not certified in health coaching, then you can use coaching skills as part of your therapy, but you can't advertise that you're a health coach. So I hope I'm making myself clear here. Basically, what I'm saying is, if you are already passionate about the therapy you're doing, then learn coaching skills, These webinars I'm doing, they're for free and they are basic coaching skills. And you can get a lot of free blogs, a lot of free podcasts on how to do coaching. I will as well in my blogs put links to my favorite ones, the ones that I have really enjoyed and that I feel I've learned a lot from. So you can gather these skills, practice them, and just include them in your therapies, in what you're already doing, or you can just go down a completely new pathway and go into health coaching 100%. So that's a choice. The second question I want you to ask yourself is, what's my backup plan? I think all of us therapists got quite a fright with COVID-19 and with the sudden loss of work and income. It's also constant worry in the back of many therapists' minds. What if I can't use my hands? So I want you to take a moment to think, what will I do if I can't physically work? If I develop problems with my hands or my back? If another pandemic hits? I don't want to be a pessimist, but it is important that each and every one of us therapists has a backup plan. If you're already passionate about your therapy, then start exploring it more. For example, if you're an aromatherapist, start creating and selling products or run little classes where you teach people how to make their own perfumes. If you're a reflexologist or a massage therapist, you could start selling a product line that you believe in, or you can offer small workshops to mums, showing them how to massage their children. Often it's the simple little things that we enjoy ourselves that we end up being very successful in. If, whilst you're listening to this webinar, you realize that you're actually passionate about the complementary therapy that you're already doing, or the health profession you're already in, and you don't want to study health coaching as a completely separate entity, and you just want to add coaching to what you're already doing, then how on earth do you do it? I love this picture because I think both dogs look a little bit uncomfortable. And I think that you as a therapist might try and learn these coaching skills and then feel a little bit uncomfortable of how to actually include them in what you're doing. So I'm just going to go through a few simple tips of how to include health coaching skills in your complementary practice, in what you're already doing. I think that the most important skills a therapist can have are communication skills. I think that no matter how good your massage techniques are, no matter how deep and profound your knowledge of anatomy and physiology and pathology is, no matter how much you know about health, if you can't communicate with your client, if you can't connect with them, and if you can't make them feel good about themselves and make them feel safe with you, they're not going to come back to you, and they're not going to refer other clients to you. So as therapists, we constantly need to work on our communication skills. The previous webinar I did in this series, the first one of the series, Let's Talk About Connection, is all about how to connect with your client. And in that webinar, I covered the two most vital skills you can have as a therapist, and that is listening actively and talking passively. Together, using these skills, you can create a space for your client, a very safe space in which they can connect with themselves and begin to heal. If you haven't listened to that webinar, I suggest you go back and listen to it. And I suggest that you take these skills and practice them. Practice them with your friends, with your family. Just start listening to people. Start really listening to what they have to say. And then use these skills when your clients come into the room. Your client comes for their next massage. From the moment they walk through that door, just say, "How are you? How has your week been?" And listen to their answer and start really actively listening to what's going on in their lives. So that is basically using health coaching. That's the first way you use health coaching, is to actually think about how you're communicating and start communicating and connecting with your clients on a deep level. Once you've created a safe space for your client, once they trust you, once they can open up to you, you need to ask them the right questions. You need to know what questions to ask so that you can get to the core of their issues, the core of their problems, and so help them to start healing. The next webinar in this series, part 2 of Let's Talk About Connection, covers what questions to ask, how to ask those questions, and when to ask those questions. So watch that webinar and it will help you to ask the right questions. I'm sure some of you are sitting there right now thinking, okay, so Ruth has given us the skills of how to listen actively, how to talk passively, how to create a safe space, how to ask the right questions, but she actually hasn't told us how to include this into our everyday practice. So I'm going to try and answer that question now, and it is difficult because I do know how a lot of clients like to come. For example, they come for a massage, they're exhausted, they're stressed, all they want to do is lie down on that table and go to sleep. And there would be nothing worse and nothing more irritating than their therapist starting to ask them very deep, personal questions when all they want to do is shut the world outside. Am I right? So what you need to do is remember that from the moment you first see your client, that is when you start using those skills. The moment they walk through the door and you say, "Hello, Mr. Jones. How's your week been? How are you feeling after your last massage?" And it's the way you ask your questions and it's the way you listen that is the most important thing. It's not the actual words you use, but it's the way you do it and it's the connection you have with your clients. And these are hopefully the skills that you're going to pick up from my webinars. So put them into action with every single interaction you have with your client. And then what you can do is, if you notice that they're under a lot of stress, or if you do my online courses on gut health, inflammation, stress, you will learn a lot of skills that you can use, and I share a lot of exercises that you can use with your clients. You cannot use these in the middle of a massage, or the middle of a reflexology treatment. But what you can do is you can say to your client at the end of their treatment, you can say, "I notice that every time you come, you have a headache, and it's always a tension headache, and that you're under a lot of stress. I got quite a few exercises I can work through with you. They're great exercises. They're techniques to teach you how to cope with stress. Would you like to book an extra 20 minutes or half an hour at the end of your next massage, and we'll go through these techniques together, and I can guide you through them." And if a person wants to book, you charge them for your time. So, I mean, it's up to you how much you want to charge, but you must charge for your time. You can say to them, "Mr. Jones, I noticed that you have a lot of gut issues. I've got some really good suggestions of how you can work with those gut issues. Would you like to explore them a bit more? If you would, let's book half an hour at the end of our next session and we can go through that. Or if you'd like to do an online call, I do charge for my time and I can work with you online as well, or over the telephone." So those are just ideas of how you can invite your clients to spend time with you, and of course do charge for it. If you're not certified as a health coach, you cannot say, "I'm a health coach and I'm going to charge you for my time." But what you can say is, "I'm a massage therapist, but I have got a lot of techniques you can use to explore your gut issues, or to explore your chronic inflammation, or let's see what we can do about those constant headaches. And you can charge them for your time that way. So I hope I've been able to answer your questions about how to integrate health coaching skills or techniques into your practice, or how to get into health coaching if that's the pathway you want to go down. Thanks so much for sending in your questions, and please do keep sending in questions and letting me know what you want to learn more about and how I can help you. A bit about myself. I'm a writer. I think quite a few of you already know me because of my books. They're used in a lot of complementary health colleges as well as nursing colleges worldwide now. But in addition to writing, I'm actually a therapist. I've been a therapist since 1999. I'm a reflexologist, a massage therapist, and an aromatherapist. And I have an absolute passion for health, for healing, and also for education. I've spent many years teaching therapies and writing about them, and I've now started up a company called the Health Lounge. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about the Health Lounge. I've created the Health Lounge specifically for qualified complementary therapists and health professionals, for people who want to learn more about different modalities and different ways of working with their clients. The focus of the Health Lounge is on education and on how you as a therapist can take all the knowledge that you've gained, take all the information that there is out there on the internet, that there is in books, and put it into practical skills that you can use in your clinics with your clients. So you'll find at the Health Lounge a lot of blogs, regular newsletters, workshops, as well as online courses. In my online courses, I try to focus on one specific health topic at a time and to convert more complex physiological and pathological processes into simple language, something that your client will understand, something you can discuss with confidence with your client. I try to give you tools so that you can recognize when your client has a problem, know when to refer your client to a specialist or to somebody else, and know when it's safe to guide your client yourself in terms of lifestyle advice. I do a lot of blogs, and in my blogs I really try to focus on education, on quality education. I want therapists, or I believe that therapists really need to know their stuff and they need to know what they're talking about. You're dealing with somebody's health, you're dealing with somebody's life. You can't be a cowboy. And I guess most importantly, as therapists, we sometimes lack confidence. So my courses, my blogs, my workshops, my newsletters, everything I do is with the hope of inspiring you, the hope of equipping you, and the hope of giving you more confidence so that you really can help your clients and you really can make a difference to their lives. So that's a little bit about me and a little bit about the Health Lounge. Please do take a look at the website. It's thehealthlounge.com.au, and you'll find my blogs there. You'll find the online courses there. If you sign up for my newsletter, you will always get something a little bit extra that I don't put on the website. So I suggest you sign up for the newsletter. And please send me emails about what you'd like to learn about, what courses you would like, what webinars you would like, what blogs you would like. The courses I do charge for, but the blogs are for free, the newsletters for free, and I'm actually here to help you therapists. I love what I do and I love learning, so challenge me. Thanks for listening.